we tend to, and I say we, I'm talking about leaders, sales managers, tend to find ourselves micromanaging, focusing on tasks rather than empowering their teams. And our objective is to explore strategies to transition from managing to leading, fostering autonomy and growth within the sales team. And a couple of things that I want you to kind of go about this thought process with me as you kind of think about this. I want you to think of this statement. The ability to raise your vibration equals your ability to influence energy of others. If I am in a negative state, guess what I get to do with my sales team? I get to put them in a negative state. If I'm in a positive state, I can influence them to be in a positive state. You know, Tony Robbins said energy is contagious. Either you affect people or you infect people. And I have been in the world of infecting people. A good little story to tell is I read a book called Hyper Sales Growth by Jack Daly. And one of his lessons in the book is you cannot be an owner of a business and also a sales manager. Best lesson ever. What does that mean? Essentially, that means if I'm worried about payroll on Friday and I'm leading a sales meeting and we are not getting the sales that we're not going to make payroll, imagine the pressure that I will put onto the rest of the organization in that sales meeting that will affect their ability to sell. Being high pressure with your team does not equal a good outcome. Almost never does it lead to a good outcome. And so we can find ourselves in that situation of infecting people. So the way Jack Daly says, you got to have somebody that's in charge of the sales team that's not an owner of the business. It's just a redirect and change of mindset that I think is really interesting. John Maxwell said, people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. Jim Rohn, my favorite, you're the average of 5 people who spend most time with. If you are around people that are low vibe, maybe they're on your leadership team. Maybe that's a problem. That low vibe is going to hurt you and hurt your team. And the moral of this story is you need to learn how to raise your own vibration. This is a chart I talk a lot about. I do wild and crazy things called breath work. And I lead a breath work every Monday at 9 a.m. That's why I was a little bit tardy for jumping on this call here. But the map of consciousness, David Hawkins is talking about levels of consciousness. And look at the bottom, shame and guilt. I want you to think about yourself as a sales manager, and you have a underperforming salesperson that maybe is not pulling their weight. Maybe they're not doing their calls. Maybe they're not doing their visits. And you need to talk to them about it. Well, just about any which way you do it, you're going to put them into a state of guilt or shame. And that's just part of it. Being aware that it will put them in that level, that state, is important to know, because it also gives you the ability to figure out when you want to do this and how you want to do it. And I talk to a lot of people that are in the hiring phases of their sales team and often worry about scaring away salespeople by being too heavy-handed. Obviously, we need them to do the activity. But the problem with a lot of organizations is making the assumption that they're doing the activity. They're making the assumption they're doing the work. And when the sales don't come in, then they get upset, right? But the question is, and I hope this whole presentation does for you, is you will struggle with a salesperson if you do not have a plan and if they do not have a plan. If you have a plan and that you're executing that plan and the salesperson is bought into that plan, you're more likely to maneuver forward into that plan. And before anything I even talk about levels of consciousness, understand that if you have a plan, that's the number one thing that you need to have before anything else. but understanding how the levels of consciousness work is really powerful. And an underperforming rep that feels shame and guilt, they feeling sorry for themselves, they got a lot of anxiety, you know, maybe they want to get more sales. Notice the desire is right below anger. And so there's a point at which you do need to get the salesperson a little bit angry with themselves to move up these levels of consciousness into that action mode, which is right at courage. That's when they start taking action. And there's a path to do that, and you are the path to do that. Your ability to give them honest feedback. Joey, you're not making the calls. It's really hurting your sales. Would you agree? Yes. Can you and I work together to get you some sales in? I would like to co-create with you to help you build your business plan for success. I mean, every single one of you that manage salespeople need to embody your own little Tony Robbins to give people pep talks. They deserve a pep talk. They have the news in their ear telling them how awful the world is and the tariffs are costing them money, blah, 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 blah. You got to be another voice in their head to level them up, to think in a more positive light, encourage them to turn off the news. The news is not going to pay their bills. The news is not going to pay your bills. So understanding the news will bring you in the fear state. So this map of consciousness, think of 500 is levels of love. That's when you vibrate at a level of love. When you are with someone that is vibrating at a love level, they feel magnetic. They feel charismatic. When you're in their presence, you're like, I don't know why I feel good. I feel like I'm on some kind of drug when I'm with that person. That's the place that we can be as humans. We can build our own self, our own manager self, to a level of love, to be in our leadership meeting, to be in our sales meeting, to level up the energy in that room and to inspire them. So understand, before you do a manager, whether a leadership meeting or a sales meeting with your team, get your energy at a higher state. You can change your level of energy. I don't care if it's listening to music, it's moving your body and dance, if it's some breath work, if it's a meditative practice, you have the ability to change your level of vibration. Shame kills performance. I've talked a little bit about this. It activates the fear brain, not the growth brain. It causes withdrawal, not action. Salespeople pull back, hide mistakes, and stop trying. I want you to think about this for a moment. Imagine talking to a salesperson at the very beginning of the day and putting them in a shame cycle before they're supposed to do their calls and whatnot. Now, you can do this. You could absolutely have that hard conversation, but you need to have it long enough to take them from shame all the way up to where they're taking action. So you got to give them a little bit of, hey, you're not taking action. You're not doing the things. He already knows. She already knows this. But now I need to get them to believe in themselves. I need to build them up. So it's important for us to build them up. The other alternative is you do it at the end of the day and let them come in the next day, with a fresh outlook. But by putting people in shame, it creates a culture of silence. No one wants to admit failure, ask for help, erodes trust, creativity, innovation, and their own ownership disappears. This is going to lead to burnout and turnover, and high performers leave toxic environments. But I hope what you just heard, the core message, manage your energy. It's the most important thing if you manage a team. It starts with you. Your team is a reflection of the energy you put out. If you put out negative fear out to your team, they're going to feel it, and they're going to go about their customers that way. The message that I'm trying to get across to you guys is when you are in love and in the right level of energy, when you're with clients and prospects and your employees, you will magnetically charge people to come to you. Customers will find you. Customers will buy from you. Customers will want to be in your presence when you're vibrating at this level of vibration. If you are in the fear state, in the hustle state, where I got to get a sale. I got to get a sale. That level of energy is going to be putting off your prospective clients. So understand, we manage your energy first. So building your sales plan versus their plan. If you are a VP of sales, you are a sales manager here on this call listening to me, you may have a boss who has an expectation. You know, he's got business that the company needs to survive, and he's anointed you as the one to bring the revenue in the door. And you're going to take your group of salespeople. Let's say you had 8. You're going to give everyone a piece of that puzzle. Important for you in this process is they have to be part of the equation. If they are not part of the equation in building their own plan, they will not be bought in. It's just the way humans work. We want to feel that we have a sense of autonomy. We want to have a sense that we can determine our future. And so understand that as we think big picture of the business that I want to come in, I want you to stop and think about your year. Hopefully you started this year thinking, okay, what are we going to sell this year? And then your quarter. I'm a big believer in quarterly analyzing all that you can analyze. And it starts with understanding your list. So if you are a CallProof client, you've heard me talk about this before, but there's 3 kinds of people. They're called contact types. You can have as many as you want in the system, but generally this is what you need to know. You have prospects, people would like to sell to. You got clients, people you want to stay in touch with. And then you have people that used to buy, but they stopped, right? You got 3 types of people. That is essentially what you have. Every business has people that could likely buy that are clients and you've lost. It's basically your market share. And what you want to do is identify how many active clients that you have and how many possible clients. And what you're essentially trying to do is looking at every single quarter. If I have 100 prospective companies to sell to, then I want my sales team to go visit 100 of those prospective clients or lost sales. You know, thinking of it like this, if Joey lost 4 accounts, okay, and he keeps losing accounts, is this a cultural fit? Do I need to do a ride along with Joey? What is he saying or what is he promising that he is not delivering? If he is promising and lying, we need to get rid of him, right? We don't need to keep him on the team, but look at your quarter to quarter and think about number of prospective people to talk to. What is our market share and what did we gain out of the quarter? And so you should have some kind of mechanism that you're tracking this, because you want to make sure you are assigning the right accounts based on the sales skill and being willing to look at that number every quarter and look at it. All right, Joey, how many accounts did Joey get over the finish line? How many people did Susie activate with the system? And be willing to look at this quarter to quarter. You're going to start to see some patterns. You're going to see patterns like people losing accounts. Why are they losing accounts? You know, a sales manager's role at the end of the day, besides managing energy, is spend time with the team to help them level up their skills, level up their approach, and help hold some accountability with what they are doing in the field. And these are the questions that we are trying to answer as a sales manager, as a leader. How many visits does it take to earn someone's business? how many calls, what do you say in the follow up? Our app tracks face to face visits, calls, and emails. The face to face visit, if it's a cold visit, the whole purpose of a cold visit is to hand someone a business card and say what you do and how you work with your clients. And sometimes people are going to tell you get out of the business. Some people are going to um, bring you right to the decision maker. But your purpose on doing a cold visit is to find a contact that I need to follow up with, store them in my phone, follow up with an email, follow up with a text, add them on LinkedIn. And the question remains, how many visits does it take to earn someone's business? And so I don't know if you guys know this, the average follow up, this is a really crazy, unbelievable statistic to me. If you look at all of sales organizations in the world that are in the B2B space, the average follow up is one time. You did a cold visit, and the average is one, which means there's a lot of people don't even do a follow up. Okay. But if you look at the top 1% of sales organizations and you look at the number of the number of follow ups in order to get a sale, the number is 13. They are calling 13 times before they get a sale. And when you think about it, that seems almost ludicrous. But listen, you got a busy client and he's happy with a vendor. You keep calling and keep calling. One day you're going to call them and they're going to be unhappy with the vendor. And that's when you land. That's when you get the opportunity. And so that's the encouragement that we need to do as leaders is we are encouraging them to do the visit in the first place, what to say, how to handle those objections, and then follow up with a text, follow up with adding them on LinkedIn, follow up with an email, and doing this process. If you look at your quarter to quarter and you're answering these questions, how did we close this business? How many calls did it take? How many emails did it take? You should find a magic formula and then do what? Do what is successful. That's all. That's what we're trying to do. We're simply trying to do what is already successful. And take a drink here. It's in the disciplines that we get rewarded. It's in the disciplines that we get in shape. It's in the disciplines that we get rich. It's in the disciplines that customers will be drawn to us. And it's talking about what we do with everyone we meet. It's getting engaged with those conversations. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. And that is getting your rep to help create a plan. So you should have an overall scope of how many prospective customers you want to get those customers assigned by your rep. You may not want to give that big account to the rep that's 3 months on the job. You may want to give that big opportunity to the one who closes the most, So be considerate and be thinking about your market, where you're assigning your markets. But have your reps create a plan. How many activities is it going to take for them to reach their goals? A feature in CallProof that we have called routes. I was talking to a client the other day and they're like, well, we don't really use routes. They know where their customers are. And I was like, really? Really? That's maybe, but this is what I know. I know there's a lot of amazing prospective clients that are in some building right next to one of your existing clients that you just don't even know about, that if you created a route and just followed the system, typically, if someone was going to do 7 hours of cold calls a day, that equates to about 40 face-to-face visits. Now that's 40 people. I'm not saying you're always going to talk to somebody. You're probably going to not talk to maybe 5 of those, but you're going to have a deep conversation with about 5 of a 40 a 40 route plan. But get your reps to help decide what their day is going to be like. When do they want to do their visits? Where is their most of their energy? If they're like kind of sluggish at 8 o'clock, you may want to they may want to decide to do their calls or visits at a time where their energy is elevated. So they're going out with some energy out in the field. But getting them to decide on a plan and mapping it out and then blocking it off in their calendar, like literally putting and blocking time in the calendar to do those sales related activities. So let's talk about our sales meeting. And I want to talk about how terrible sales meetings I've been involved in my history. And I will call it my own self. I've led some really shitty sales meetings. And I'll be the first to admit, before I really got a hold of this energy thing, I was not the best at motivational, powerful sales meetings. They became a how did you screw up last week call. How did you not do the work last week meeting? How are you failing last week meeting? And I want to encourage you guys to look at what a sales meeting should be and could be. And that is authentic storytelling. How do we do authentic storytelling? Well, first off, when I say authentic storytelling, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting your salespeople to being real about how they are feeling in the field in a new way. Now, we start off our meeting with a segue, and a segue is an opportunity to basically say a personal piece of good news and a professional piece of good news. We want to start our meeting on a positive track. And we're going to spend 5 minutes. Everyone has a few moments to share good news and professional news. What we don't want to start the meeting with all the things that are wrong. This is a habit that I've adopted in my home. When we're doing dinner, we have what we call highs and lessons. Like, tell me something that was a good high for you today, and tell me a lesson you learned, something that you learned today. And by priming your salespeople to be ready to talk about the good, what this subconsciously does is it allows people to start looking for the good in our world, not all the things that aren't working out, not all the things that are broken. What we're trying to do when we are doing our segue is just getting people to talk. Number one, getting them open up and talk, and getting them to be more aware of the good that's happening. 5 minutes on a scorecard. This is when we're basically looking at the individual numbers on a scorecard, putting the numbers on the screen, like for all to see. And we are moving into what we call a sales review, giving each member of the team to talk about last week. If Julie closed a big sale, this is the storytelling that I'm asking all of you to bring to light. How did you get that big sale? I want to know every single piece of information about that opportunity. When you first walked in and you did a cold visit, what did you say? How did you follow up? What did you say? How did you get the meeting? How did you get the meeting with the decision maker? How did the proposal go? What was the pain point you were solving? These storytelling activities give you tremendous amount of power for the rest of the organization to be inspired. People don't make change unless they can hear their story in someone else's story. We've all been stuck with some situation in our life, and you hear a story. It could be a movie. You could hear a movie. You could watch a movie and be like, oh yeah, I need to change this aspect of my life. It's the same thing with salespeople. When you have salespeople telling successful sales stories, that is a powerful thing. That's why we built asynchronous video built into our app. You guys may not know this, but you can talk asynchronously on video to each other or to your whole sales team. You could literally have an ad hoc sales meeting with a CallProof right now, and whenever a salesperson walks in off the street and they have an amazing experience where someone says, "Yes, I'm ready to buy," that is energy. That will inspire someone to do the same thing. What we're trying to do is in those 15 minutes, giving people an opportunity to say what's working in the field. And then sometimes it's going to be a little bit of um, someone is beating themselves up. And you need to have the type of support system with your sales team where people are helping each other level up and being honest about some simple things like procrastination, feeling that they don't have the energy to sell or whatever. And it's your opportunity to help give them tools and resources to really have a powerful week. So and then customer and product headlines. What's new? What's new products that you need to talk about? And then sales training and role practice. And this is the most important thing I feel for sales teams and sales organizations is to um, do role practice. A proper role practice is a customer, a witness, and a salesperson. And you want to do a practice where you're going back and forth with this role practice, practicing a pitch, overcoming an objection. And the witness is there to listen to the words. It's hard to be an experience if you're part of the experience, but if you're witnessing the experience, a witness is there to like say, well, Joey, you said these words, and I could see how those words, the way you said it, lacked any energy and any confidence out of your voice. And role practice with successful salespeople doing these role practices, saying what they say out in the field to real customers is a powerful thing. But if you don't practice what they are saying, you're gonna suffer. Um, just a little topic here: scorecard show having your numbers on a screen for everyone to see. It's powerful. We have to be careful. Sometimes there's a thing that will happen. Some salespeople that aren't performing. I used to do this trick. I used to have like 200 something salespeople, and I would email them individually their sales number. So it's basically, your scorecard was the subject line, right? And I emailed the individual like 200 something emails, and I had an email tracking program. This is what was interesting. People that weren't selling weren't looking at the scorecard. People who cared about their job were looking at the scorecard. If you got people not looking at the scorecard, you have a disengaged sales force, and either you need to replace them or find a way to get them remotivated because they are disconnected. If they're not looking at their email, looking at their own numbers, they don't care. And you have to ask yourself, do you want to have people on your team that do not care? I don't. Um, so your ideal weekly sales meeting, top reps sharing experiences of success, identifying problems, and having the group offer the ideas for solutions. Yes, you are super smart sales manager and you have tons of experience, but it hits different when it's other members of the team teaching other members of the team. It's kind of like if I were to come in and run one of your sales meetings, they would all listen to me just because I'm an outside person, right? Just like when I was teaching my kid to throw the ball, like he wouldn't listen to me, but like, the coach did it. It's just the way people can work, especially if you've been around the same people for a long time. They stop listening to us, and including me. I got my own team member here probably would say they don't listen to me sometimes. um, so, um, but another thing is have a commitment. Maybe you have an event form in CallProof where after your sales meeting, you get everyone to commit to a level of activity for the week. And at the end of the week, you fill out another form, fill out any wins you like to share and any challenges you like to document. And that right there, if you can get your team to commit to an objectives for the week, and I'm not saying I'm going to sell 5 widgets. I'm saying, how many visits are you going to commit to? I would rather have people commit to an activity than a sale. Um, I don't like them. My personal opinion, I don't like pressuring people to close a sale because those sales never end well when you apply levels of pressure to clients. I just feel like we should be selling in a different way. Um, so let's moving on here. Communicating with our team. So real quick, understand what we are doing as a sales organization. Um, I tell people this all the time, and some people get it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, we are, as a sales manager, we are just drug dealers. We are drug dealers. And what do we serve? I serve dopamine. When I celebrate someone's win and I make them feel good about themselves, they receive what is called dopamine. Dopamine is produced in our own bodies. And you, Mr. Drug Dealer, have the ability to give them little samples of dopamine. And that is finding something, even the tiniest wins. You know, you made 5 calls yesterday and they made 0 the week before. Great. Let's celebrate they made those 5 calls. Let's build the momentum and do what great drug dealers do. Give them a sample of the product and they will want more. The powerful thing that happens when you get them and encourage them to start to do more activity, they're going to yield better results. And that means, are you doing your follow up? Are you doing your face to face visits? Are you dropping the stuff off? Are you following them on LinkedIn? Are you messaging them? You know, this constant, like, be in front of them. Get them out of the thinking that they are bothering a customer. And I could tell you how many people have that misnomer that, oh, I don't want to harass them or bother them. Don't think of it that way. Understand how a business owner operates. If you sell to a business owner or an executive in an organization, understand they have 1,000 things going on in their personal life and business life. And they may even want your product, but they just don't have time to settle in to even say yes until that one moment their pain has hit a peak and you have came in and offered your product or service at the right time. It's all about timing, folks. So do the disciplines that you need to do. But what we're trying to do is get them to take action that's going to get them a sale. And when they get their first big sale, that's another hit of dopamine. And you want to get in that cycle of addicted to this dopamine. Listen, I want my salespeople addicted to dopamine. I'm addicted to dopamine. I think all of you are addicted to a little bit of dopamine. We all just naturally, if there was no dopamine, we would not get up and do anything. The world, as you know it, would cease to exist without this drug. So start giving it to your people. All right. Um, Here's something I just wanted to put a little note on, and that is having difficult conversations, how to have this language. Be thinking about this. When do you want to do these conversations? Is it an email? Probably not. Probably in person. If you can't do it in person, it's probably Zoom or maybe a phone call. But always have a call to action, something they can commit to and create on their own. But always try to end on a high note. Show them that you have their back and follow up. Follow up is just simply like, hey, I hit you with a hard conversation yesterday. I'm excited for you to come today and just crush it. I know you got it. Let's do this. That's a little bit of follow up. So let me move on to another way. I had an experience that I think it's really important for me to share. This man right here, Robert Hartline, went on a cold call a couple of weeks ago. And it had been a long time since I had been on a cold call. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was a little nervous. I was nervous, just like a regular salesperson would be. And I felt a little sense of anxiety going to do a cold visit. And so I have been using ChatGPT for a little while. And I was like, you know what? Before I had this guy that was going to be joining me on some cold calling, which, by the way, if you have not cold called with your salespeople, by God, you should. It would drastically shift the amount of success they would have if they saw you doing it with them. Also, if your salespeople cold called together, they would learn so much about their different styles, what to say out in the field. And it's really a powerful experience. But so I had a buddy that I was going to be cold calling with, and I don't know very well. And, honestly, I didn't want to feel stupid in front of him. It's one thing to feel stupid in front of a customer. I don't really care because I may not see them again. But to feel stupid in front of your colleague is a little different. And anyway, I was sitting in my car. I pulled up my trusty ChatGPT, and it has all of our overcoming objection. It has basically all of our sales training material in it. And I said, ChatGPT, could you do me a favor? Could you? I'm gonna prepare myself to do some cold calling business. I'm gonna be walking in strange businesses, and I want help with my pitch. And I want you to answer back like you're a prospect. And sometimes I want you to reject me. And sure enough, my ChatGPT came through in a whole new level. I was not ready to be so surprised at how well she acted like a customer. And then I did a couple of pitches, and then she gave me rejection. And the rejection felt like real rejection. But after it happened a couple of times, I felt like a superheroic version of myself. Like I was not feeling fear. I had practiced my spiel. And when I went out into the field, I was a different person visiting and doing my cold calls because of that experience. And it was a really good lesson to me. And something that you guys may not know, but we have built AI inside of CallProof. And right now, AI is in CallProof to help you document a visit. So you can hit a button and just start talking to it, and it'll give you a meeting summary as one aspect of what CallProof can do. But what we're adding into the system that we'll have in just a few weeks is a AI chat window where you can literally hit the button and start talking to your app. And it's going to do lots of things and give your reps the ability to practice these conversations. It's going to even, in fact, notice when the activity is low and then nudge your reps with little motivational messages. I call them mini roasts. Also, it can obviously can track your calls, but we have AI now. If you are using our telephony in our app, it will actually transcribe those notes in the AI, and the AI is going to be more attuned to how you're talking to a customer. And so when you're crafting an email, it'll help you create an email. Just like you've kind of done with ChatGPT, but it's inside the app with your clients, with your data. Also, a couple other things is this ability to take the AI generation. So where this goes to the whole nother level, and this is something that I want you guys to get wildly excited about, because this is a tool for the sales manager. I'm realizing there needs to be someone that sits between the AI and the salesperson. The AI can analyze your data and know who your salesperson needs to follow up with, and can remind the salesperson who they need to follow up. But where it gets really interesting is you take your recording for your sales meeting. And if you're following my advice and you're getting people to do role practice, you're getting people to verbalize what's working out on the field, what pitches they're doing, how they overcome that objection. And you take that transcript and you load it into CallProof. It is now in the data set. So we have these, we're calling them AI sales coaches, that you have the ability to input new data. So if you have a bunch of documents on how to sell your products, the features and benefits of the products, you load them into the portal, into CallProof. this portal where all that training material goes. And so you will have the ability to have your reps do the role practice in the app based on this training material. And this training material, I mean, the AI gets smarter and better at doing it. And this tool is going to be available for you guys to do. So maybe you want the AI sales coach to help goal setting and create some weekly accountability. You can do that with the app. But where I think it's most important is this practice scenarios for cold calls. And especially for new reps. So when a new rep starts on board, we can create what we call sequences, where it's a series of questions. So we get to know the rep, and we get the rep to start getting comfortable with making those sales pitches. So ultimately, I'm not trying to replace the sales manager. That's not what's going to happen. But I want to give you a tool so the rep has a better way to help them grow and develop and hold themselves accountable by having a little AI sales coach. Something that happens that was not expecting to happen. To be rejected by a robot is different than being rejected by a real life person. But when you practice with the robot, you get ready for the rejection from a real life person. So it's really powerful, especially when you're talking about handling objections. And I've said this before on my other calls that there's only about 8 objections why someone will buy your product. If you know how to answer those 8 objections, just like the professional salesperson who's been there for 20 years, he has it rolled right off his tongue. Someone has got lots of sales, lots of wins in under his belt. He knows how to answer just about any objection. He does it with levels of confidence, right? That's what we're trying to instill by having the app act as your sales coach. A couple other things. We can do all kind of health scoring, pipeline management, nudge a rep when they need to follow up with a deal that's gone quiet. And this is where we're allowing you, the manager, to have dialogue with your AI coach that's coaching your rep. So if there's a new initiative, you go out and teach your AI sales coach. This week, we're really focused on our new product sales. We're not focused on selling old products. We're only focused on selling these new items because I got an inventory showroom full of this product and I need to push it. Tell the AI that's the focus. That's what we're pushing this week, and remind the rep that that's what the focus is. So anyway, that is that. A couple other things. You'll be able to see the coaching insights, and these custom training models is going to be really powerful. The more you feed it, the more it's going to learn. And ultimately, I want you to understand what my goal for you all is if you want to sell more of your products, you have more reps selling your products, right? You have more salespeople, but if you don't have salespeople producing more sales, then it doesn't make sense to work. You need a repeatable sales process. If you enable your sales rep to have their own coach in this app that you're kind of monitoring and feeding it with some information, it becomes their decision. They are leveling up themselves more like a game than a chore. And that's what we hope to do. So when you're hiring a new salesperson, we can reduce the amount of time that you're spending with a new person to get them out in the field. So a couple of things here. If you are interested in becoming an AI sales coach tester, you're looking to do it with yourself, maybe from a perspective of your salesperson, or you're a sales manager using CallProof today, and you want to sign up for our beta program. We're going to be bringing this on board. I hope to have at the end of the month. But please email us. You know who your rep is. You can reach out to them directly and sign up to have this coach on board.